Hello, welcome back for our next session. And I'm very pleased to tell you that we have Shahzeb Iqbal, who's Technology and Chief Software Engineer at Nordea. Following this presentation, there will be a break for 15 minutes in which you can visit the exhibition hall, the virtual exhibition hall. When that time comes, you simply click on the Visit Virtual Exhibition button to the right of your screen, and you can then press the blue button to arrange meetings with whoever you want. And Shahzeb will be leaving some time at the end of this session for your questions. So please click on the live Q&A button to the right of your screen. Send those to me, I will see them, and I will be able to put those questions to Shahzeb. This is actually not a presentation. As I said, it's what we call a fireside chat. I've got some questions I've discussed with Shahzeb that will take us through some of the very interesting topics that you've seen on the agenda. We'll be looking at how Nordea, and talking about how Nordea has implemented DevOps and Agile methodologies, and how those have translated into a better customer experience, and how Nordea is delivering better software faster for its customers' omnichannel experience. And we're going to focus, as we go through the session, increasingly on how Nordea is using chatbots and artificial intelligence to help create a quality omnichannel experience for its customers. And we'll also, if we have time, be talking about the impact of COVID, which has changed a lot of the ways of many firms. It's changed the ways of working. So Shahzeb, I'm going to start by asking you, please, to give us a little background about you, your role, and where Nordea is on the curve of its digital transition. Can we start with that, please?
Sure. Yes. I'm working for Nordea for quite a while. Started 2011. Transitioned from, so my background is as a developer, engineer. So I've been a programmer for very long. Currently, I'm a leader within technology, leading teams within customer experience, documentation, and archiving solutions. But at the same time, I also do enjoy the role of being a techie. Time and time again, working on some prototypes and also delivering some software to the execution line, which we are part of. So I do maintain my engineering role at the same time while I do the leadership. From Nordea perspective, you see, Nordea is a very big organization. It's spread around 10 to 11 million customers. We are exposed in all the Nordic countries, basically, 4 of them very widely, and placed in different sections of the market. Leader in some, but not too behind in others. And one of Nordea's classic, or let's say, strategies from very beginning have been that we should be the front runners, and we are the front runners comparing our peers, but also we are forefront within the Nordic market in our digital journey, basically. And our motivation have always been that we should present the same kind of service, customer service, to our customers digitally, which one would have done physically. So we should be as good, so that customers, we are relevant in all the markets, and in whatever way our customers select to contact us through different channels and through different platforms. So digital experience being one-on-one from customer advisory perspective, one of the biggest challenges which we have been addressing, and we are very successful in that journey. But we have also come very long in our digital journey, where we have developed our AI platform and automation from a self-service perspective. And we have been working very hard on digitalization our documentation and signing processes, where we actually do provide documentation services completely digitally, so that people don't really have to bother or worry about signing the documents, for example, loan documents or whatever. They should be done digitally as well. And customer authentication is one of the challenges which we have been working on, that digitally we should be able to authenticate our customers in exactly same manner as one would have done it physically and still be reliable in the market. So that's our digital journey, and as I said, we believe that we are one of the forefront runners in the Nordic market.
Very good. Well, thank you for that background. Now, can you tell us a little bit about how software testing is organized and where you are on the DevOps journey?
Yeah. You see, in Nordea, we always see testing as one of the most important aspects of software engineering. Software engineering without testing is not complete, especially when we are talking about customer experience, because people today do not understand when we say we have hiccups in the system when they are in a loan process, or they want to block their card, or they are in a hurry or something like that. So testing is in DNAs. It's one of our center of excellence in Nordea. We do not see it as a side business, but we see it like something we invest day in, day out in. Just like any other tech company who would invest in new technologies from development perspective, analyze their tech menu, regulate the technologies which are being used within the company, and recommend developers on how to grow within their area of expertise. Exactly similarly, we have similar processes for our testing center of excellence in a very structured way. We recommend what tools, we go out and listen to the testers, what challenges do they have, and at the same time we connect testers who are part of this center of excellence organization virtually to the business areas and development teams, where they do not only learn about the technologies of that area, but also the business side.
Yes, so in effect, we were talking about this earlier, and you the way you expressed it was that your testers are also consultants. They're consultants across different parts of the business, which is a very interesting way of looking at it. So they're bringing, if you like, not just testing, but engineering expertise to stakeholders across the business. I hope I've put that correctly. If I have, how does that work with DevOps? How do you explain this, if you like, the culture of this organization to your teams?
Yeah, and that has been one of the things in Nordea, that within DevOps framework, we have not just focused on the technology stack of the DevOps to be in a continuous integration and continuous let's say deployment mode from a technology perspective, where we do have our technology stack and people are using them, but we have also been investing a lot from a mindset perspective of how to approach this, so that people actually really feel that we are not overly complicating only the technology landscape for them to be knowing more tools, but also take advantage of why does this process, the terminology itself actually helps day in, day out in delivering quality software faster. And as you said, in Nordea, we do have our quality department where the testers are working. They are part of this department, and then they are actually out hired to development organizations within Nordea as consultants. But they are not just consultants in a sense of go in and go out. They are more hired from much more attachment perspective, where they have to learn about the local processes of the business as well, and learn and grow within the business area. But of course, the benefit of the consulting infrastructure is that we always have our backups, and we always have someone else who we are training, and we are maintaining the knowledge area in a very neat way, so that if, let's say, if a tester wants to select a different project, then there is always the knowledge area which is preserved, and someone else can come and actually be into a pace or come into a pace as soon as possible. And that's what we have seen as a benefit with this. And DevOps, we have different approaches to DevOps. We also have Dev Test Ops at the same times. I don't know how much you know about the financial market in Nordics, but there is a lot of security involved when it comes to development and operations. And then there is the concept of segregation of duties, where the operations and the developers need to be into separate teams, so that we protect the customer data from production perspective. So developing the mindset has been very important, that even if people are sitting in different teams, they are still working towards the same common goal. And that's what we have been preaching.
Yes, and of course, it isn't just a challenge in the Nordic region, as you say, because of course, a large bank like Nordea has to comply with regulations in many different geographies, where there might well be a prescriptive approach to how testing is conducted, as the case in Switzerland or Singapore, for example. So I guess your processes have to be flexible to different geographies as well.
Correct, and totally correct. We are operating in 4 different markets, even though the markets are quite similar. There are still 4 different countries who do have their own regulations, and at the same time, we come under the umbrella of European Union, which means those laws actually apply to us as well. And the regulatory is mandatory to everyone, and it's not just mandatory from perspective of that we have to take care of it, but we have to protect our customers. So it's the responsibility of the bank. We do not see it as something which has been put on us, but we own the responsibility. That's why we feel it more important. And yes, as you said, we don't really have let's say rigid processes, and we do not have them for one-time design. We keep on coming back to our processes all the time, the rules and regulations, and we keep on reviewing them as well. And we keep on arguing, and we keep on bringing new ideas through diversity, that how can we make the best of rules for our customers and for our business, and how do we implement it in the best way in the given situation. One can always take the best decision based on the time and material. So the decision which we took yesterday might be obsolete, and we come back to the table again all the time and review our decisions and maybe tweak them for the benefit of our customers.
Very good. So thank you for that. We were about halfway through our session now, and we did want to, you and I, dig deeper into your role as head of engineering for customer experience, into the detail of app development and delivery at Nordea. Can you tell us a little bit about the key challenges that you're facing right now? I mean, a lot of banks are talking about the challenges of testing chatbots, for example, particularly the outputs of AI-driven voice technologies. Can they be effectively tested in an automated way? Does it have to be manual? What's, if you like, keeping you awake at night?
Yeah, there is, as we say, there is no one one size fit all when it comes to testing. We have to take custom approach depending on the business area and all that. But yes, there are definitely challenges, and those challenges are all the time addressed, and we keep on coming back to them. I would talk about the area which I am an expert in, and I have been involved for more than 13 years, which is customer experience. When it comes to customer experience, it is not just one platform or responsibility of one platform doing everything. You see, it is a lot of systems involved and integrated to each other. From a front end perspective, the technologies which are, as you said, the mobile apps and the web are websites which are from open and secure perspective. And then we have the middle layer where we have our contact center platforms, either in-house built from or a bot vendor-based technologies. And then we have our back-end systems where we have our mainframes and all those legacy systems which are where we actually have our customer data and the bank actually exists in them. And then we have our third parties or in-house built as well, the AI parts of it. It is not easy. Our strategy is always that each team is responsible for their own parts, of course, not only from unit and system testing, but also integration testing. But we do have responsible testers who are coordinating with each other all the time and taking care of the whole integration testing at the same time. So there is a big effort with each release which is going out. Our AI technologies, we have our, I don't know if you've heard about the terminology, the chatbot whisperers, who are responsible for creating these chatbot contents of what kind of questions are addressed with what kind of answers. We have not invested that much right now into self-learning and chatbots because given the kind of business we are in, we have up until now we have seen that we are not in need of that one, but we have invested into chatbots from a self-service perspective. So we help the customer in the best way possible. If we cannot, then we transfer the customer to a real agent when it comes to more complex kind of. And these are tested from our expert chat whisperers who are responsible for the content itself as well. When you talk about chatbots from voice perspective, then this is a completely different arena. I don't think there is a company out there from financial perspective who have 100% enabled chatbots from a voice perspective, because there is a lot of there is a lot of security involved in it. Before doing any business in the banking, we have to authenticate the customer, and authentication being, it's much easier when you're physical. It's not that easy when you're exposed to 4 different kind of markets. There is voice biometrics, but it is not foolproof either. So there are different ways of testing these. Some of them are vendor based, and they come with the technology itself when someone buys it, but they're not foolproof. That's why, from our perspective, we have not invested into voice biometrics, and we are still investigating some of the technologies and where we should invest our time into.
Thank you. Now, we do have a couple of questions, and one of them is kind of relevant to the flow of our conversation. So I'm going to ask it now. One of our delegates is asking, do you have full automated testing at Nordea, or is the majority of testing still manual? What's the balance? And sort of flowing on from that question, I was going to ask you about what the potential you see for leveraging automation technologies is at Nordea over the next year, 2 years. What's your agenda in terms of automation?
Yeah. First question, how much automation do we have? We are on a tipping point right now in Nordea where automation is taking over manual. And our agenda is that automate as much as possible. So all our back-end systems, basically, there is a big initiative going on where we want to automate. And we are, as I said, we are on the pinnacle where we want to automate most of it. But there are some things which needs to be manually tested. And especially in the customer experience area, there are tools to automate the voice flows and all that, and we are looking into that as well. We have been looking into that. We have been doing that for quite a while, but for right now, there are some advisory parts of the technology which needs to be manually tested. There are some voice parts which needs to be manually tested, and we are all the time coming back on that topic and see how much can we. So answering your question, it might be 60-40, but we are on the tipping point of automation taking more of it than manual work. Coming to the second question of leveraging the technologies and where do we see ourselves from an automation perspective? Automation and testing as much as possible. I don't think, or I haven't heard of any particular percentage. There might be one which I'm not aware of, so I will not go and say a number which I'm not completely sure of, but I'm sure that there might be a number somewhere. But as much as possible, because we want to minimize the human effort in testing, but we do not want to completely take it away either, that human quality check. So we are going to concentrate on that one, and we are going to come back on that all the time. When it comes to automation from processes, of how much should we take away from human effort of doing the forms, the blankets, that part we are looking for, let's say 90% of the things which should be automated process-wise.
And do you have metrics for benchmarking the return on that investment? Because this is another challenge that firms face. And indeed, this was one of the other questions we were going to discuss. For example, do you have benchmarks for customer satisfaction that allow you to look at an increased rate of automation in testing, a lower rate of bugs in production, translating to a better customer experience, for example?
Good question. I was actually reading an article yesterday, I think, from our group CEO and our CTO. They were talking about the number of hours which we have saved just in 2020 by process and test automation. Now, unfortunately, I do not have that number in my mind right now, but it was a huge number from hourly perspective of how much we have saved, and and we count that. I think we count that from a FTE perspective of how much work was saved per person, let's say, or how many persons work we saved. So definitely there is a number out there, and it's monitored all the time, and we do get updates about it as well on how much we have saved and how much is our target. But unfortunately, I do not have that ready for you right now.
Okay. Now we were also going to talk about open source tooling versus off-the-shelf tooling and how the mix is evolving at Nordea. But we've also got a question on this from one of our delegates. So. And the question is about managing and mitigating the security risks of using open source tooling. And I'm assuming, and I think our questioner is assuming, that Nordea is moving to increase use of open source tooling, particularly for the application of new technologies in microservices, for example. But is that the case? And this issue of managing risk in open source tooling, license risk, for example, is something that more and more people are talking about. Can you tell us about open source?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we do have our tech menu, we have a selection of technologies which needs to be used from a testing perspective as well, and we take it very seriously. That's why we have a center of excellence for testers and the testing, and these guys are growing in that area. From tooling, I mean, we have had, or we do have different approaches. We have had vendor-based like Quality Center and Test Trail, and we do have plugins for tools like Jira and all those for automation testing, and looking at how much have we tested the platforms end to end, and using these tools. But we do not actually, let's say, buy products per head. We have to invest as an organization into the tools. So it is all strategy based. Licensing, most of the times, licensing have not been an issue for us, because if Nordea Group decides that we have to go and invest in one of the technologies, then most of the times we go towards the concurrent licensing model, if you know what that is. So we do not go buying a particular amount of licensing, but we go concurrent, and that is per usage. It's quite open, but we also save on if we are not using the tool.
Okay, good. We've only got 3 minutes. I've got a couple more questions I want to ask. Number one, what about the impact of COVID? We talked about this briefly in the introduction. Has that changed your way of working? Is it an accelerator to automation, for example?
I can tell you, I mean, from the technology perspective and the business side, financial, Nordea as a group really came together during the COVID times, and everyone, if I should make myself clear, everyone came on board and decided how should we tackle this. There have been meetings and meetings and meetings just to decide on, if we are working from home, then what should be our best approach to serve our customers. And some of the technologies which we had invested in pretty long back, without, for example, the video technologies, right? So video meetings with our customers, which has not, they were used, but they were used humbly, let's say. We had really had a big payoff on those ones during these times. And that's why I say that we have been one of the front runners, even during these times, with our digital platforms and our digital presence, providing the same kind of experience to our customers. So yes, the times are challenging, but we have done very well. And Nordea as a group have really come in and made those decisions that how should we take and go forward with this. And we have successfully implemented a strategy which have worked for us pretty well.
Great. Final question. You've mentioned voice. You've mentioned just then video, which is a really interesting topic. But just finally, Shahzeb, in terms of customer experience, what is it you're working towards in terms of what your customers are likely to be asking for in a year's time or 2 years' time? I mean, is it going to be a completely seamless voice experience? Is it going to be more video? Is it better apps? Is it, you know, what are the targets you've set yourself?
Well, it's an ocean out there right now of the technologies which one can prototype on. I will not say what we are prototyping on right now, but I'll say what is present out there, which we might think of, right? So Google, you have seen, have come up with their own chatbots and their voice to text and text to voice integrations. We might think about that in future, even though we are actively having our own implementation team right now and doing our own chatbot. And then the video, it have flown very well for us right now. We are gonna we are actively looking into how to create that omni-channel experience, which we have actually done pretty well, of converting one kind of experience into another. For example, a customer can start a conversation with us on chat, and we can turn that into a voice conversation or a callback or a video to complete that loop from omni-channel perspective. That is something which we have been actively looking into, and we have done it quite well as well. Also, from security perspective, there is ocean out there as well. So right now, securing customers from digital platforms so that we know who we are doing banking with. There is an ocean out there from voice biometric solutions, where we recognize a customer from their pitch, from the voice. And there are other solutions out there as well, and we might invest or at least do that on a prototype level.
Yeah, you mentioned a couple of really interesting things there. We'd love to come back and talk about those another time. We have to stop there, Shahzeb. Thank you so much for your time and for a very, very interesting conversation.
Same. Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.